For those who feel enough is not enough and failure is not an option, for those, there is Gamma Labs PTF, the next generation pre-workout supplement, a human enhancement formula designed to build a superior athlete. Joining us on the show today is Frank Mir, number one contender to the UFC heavyweight belt. Were you able to watch the fights this past weekend, UFC 145?
I was. Actually, a little bit late getting into Red Rock. So I saw the last round of the John Alessio Bocek fight, and from then on, I caught the rest of the card.
I know that you've been a big fan of Miguel Torres for a long time. What was your impression of his fight? Was it a bad game plan on his part, or do you think that kid, Michael McDonald, is just that good?
Well, I think a combination of both. I think that the guy, Michael McDonald, is an extremely tough fighter with great hands, great kickboxer. I think that Miguel is a good kickboxer also. I think he's shown that in his fights. He has an array of knockouts to his credit. I do think that maybe it would have been a little, but again, I'm speaking from hindsight, to try to get the fight to the ground. I think, Torres is, underrated, has a very underrated jiu-jitsu game. I think it's one of the best in the division, His ability to submit people from, his back or from the top is pretty incredible. I would like to have seen how he tried to get it to the ground a little bit better instead of trying to plug it out on his feet with such a dangerous striker.
Were you at all surprised by Ben Rothwell knocking out Brendan Schaub?
You know what? That didn't surprise me after I seen him at the weigh-ins. When they showed me a clip on the internet of what he looked like, yeah. I was blown away about how dedicated Rothwell looks. His physique is incredibly a testament to how hard he trains now. And when he stepped up looking like that, I pretty much didn't know what to expect. I knew that, I've always been, very respectful of his abilities. I think Rothwell is a good striker or grappler. I think he really is a very underestimated MMA fighter. I think he's a dangerous card for anybody to pull. He's a tough game opponent. I think his conditioning was always pretty much his Achilles heel in the past. And when he showed up looking the way he did, that was incredible. I was blown away. So if his condition doesn't hold him back, I think he's going to be somebody that going to be a force to be reckoned with now.
What about Rory McDonald? Do you think this kid has the makings of a future champion?
I do. I think he's extremely tough. I tried not to get sucked into how much allocate he was receiving in the commentary.
Right.
I don't know if he was, I've seen a guy who seemed pretty good on his feet and has good wrestling. As far as, the potential being seen there, maybe I just need to see him in practice. I saw a really good fighter, but I didn't see the second coming,
Yeah, there's some people that are saying, look, Shea Mills has had some success outside of the UFC, but some people said it was kind of a gimme to Rory McDonald because Shea Mills hadn't come into the UFC and really proven himself outside of that one fight at UFC 85. So I don't know if I agree with that. Rory McDonald seems like he's a really solid fighter at 170 pounds, and his fight with Carlos Condit before he got caught there in that third round was impressive to me. But, I guess time will tell on that one. I guess I agree
with Shea Mills' assessment. Shea Mills, I think, is from what I've seen in his fights, and even if you watch some of his fights that he had back, across the sea, ocean, he's a good fighter on his feet, and it seems like a pretty solid, striker. But I never really, think he's that great of a grappler. I think that was definitely a hole in his game. So, Roy went out there and I think had a good game plan and took him down and fought him on the ground. But had he really wanted to showcase, sparks of just, future greatness, well, then he could have taken him out on his feet and beat him at what he's best at. The fact is, we just saw a guy who fought somebody who just has a really poor ground fighting skills. The guy, Shea Mills, I don't think his ground skills are respected by, or to be not noted, So the fact that, McDonald took him down and was able to beat him there, it was almost kind of like, well, if you really want to say that this guy is the next greatest thing, we got to have him against a much better opponent than that to really have some kind of assessment of his skills.
Quick correction, I think I said UFC 85. I meant UFC 138 over there in Birmingham, England. But main event of UFC 145, Johnny Bones Jones and Rashad Evans. At any point in that fight, did it even seem like John Jones may be in trouble, or was it his fight the entire time?
It seemed like his fight all the time. There was a couple of shots thrown overhand rights that, the one I think kind of glassed him in the second round. He kind of, Muhammad Ali back, got on his bicycle and just kind of stuffed his jab out there. I couldn't tell if it really hit him or not, and on the replay it looked kind of a graze, but that pretty much was the tell of the fight that there was a few moments there where it looked like Rashad might have done something, but for the most part, I think, Jones pretty much shut him down and controlled the fight. I would have thought that, Rashad would have, the same thing his corner was screaming, the same thing I was thinking. If you want to nullify a guy's reach, you got to move in on him, and close the gap and stay close. Backing up and fighting at Jones's distance, I don't think anybody in the world can fight Jones at a far distance and come away effective. He just has too many weapons from the outside. I mean, the guy's throwing elbows, knees, jump flying knees. He hit him with a jab to the body and a straight right hand with a great boxing combination. The only way I think that anybody's going to, be able to beat, Jones is if somehow they can get in and defeat his grappling, and stop them from, get a takedown and put him on his back and see what can be done there.
Well, we know that Dan Henderson is next for John Jones at 205. Do you think that Henderson will pose some real threats to him, or this is just another one of those fights where Jones's reach is going to be impossible to overcome?
Yeah, I really think it's going to be hard. I think Henderson obviously has the grappling credentials to, if he can close the distance. I just wonder how he's going to. Henderson, I don't think has ever been known as an explosively quick fighter. He's just known, very powerful. If he hits you, he can, take you out. But to be able to land that punch on somebody with that much reach and the youth and speed is on Jones's side too, I think, it's going to pose an interesting, problem. I think one of the quickest guys at 205 was Rashad. I mean, the guy, when he's fresh, is an explosively quick guy. And he had a hard time getting in on him.
Alexander Gustafsson, any chance that he could possibly threaten John Jones one day because of, they're similar body types, and, they're trying really hard to draw a lot of parallels to how dangerous Gustafsson could be to John Jones when he fought in that main event of the UFC over in Sweden. But do you see this kid as a threat to John Jones, or do you think that he's almost impervious at this point?
As far as names of whoever could possibly compete with Jones, I would put him at the top of the list. If anybody wanted to ask me who they thought, right now Jones is the king, but if you said who's the heir apparent, I really think it would be Gustafsson. I think that I've seen him over at Roberts. The guy is incredibly long and tall himself and just really strong. I didn't get to grapple with him personally, but I've seen him get grabbed by a few guys that I've rolled with that I know that have some pretty good strength and power and technique. And Gustafsson, without even grimacing on his face, was pretty effortlessly able to throw them around. I was really impressed because you look at his build and, he looks long and lean and definitely he's a quick fighter. But it blew me away how strong he was.
When I talked to John Jones a few weeks ago, there's been a lot of discussion about the possibility of him moving up to heavyweight. He said if that's even going to be a consideration, it probably won't be until the end of next year, end of 2013. But how do you think that John Jones would fare at heavyweight?
He's so versatile offensively. I don't think he'd have much of a problem as long as the weight gain didn't affect him. Obviously, he's not going to want to fight at 215, 220 pounds, some of the guys in our division. But if he's able to walk around at 240, then I think that he'd be extremely dangerous, as long as it didn't affect him. More size doesn't necessarily make a person a better fighter. And because he's so athletic at 205 and able to move around and do some of the things he's able to do, if he were to lose that through the size gain, then I think he would lower his offensive abilities, and then it's going to close the gap he has on everybody else.
Speaking of size, last time I saw you, you looked like you were very solid. Where do you expect to tip the scale right before the fight at UFC 146?
Again, between 255 to 265. Just kind of depends on how nervous I am that week and how I'm eating.
If you get nervous, you always hit Little Caesars.
Yeah, I try not to, but sometimes food's comforting. So,
Frank, man, really excited for you. Thrilled that you're getting this title shot at UFC 146 again, happening right here in Las Vegas, May 26th. Thanks for taking the time today, man.
Hey, no, thank you, bro.
Cool. Thanks, man. For those who feel enough is not enough and failure is not an option, for those, there is Gamma Labs PTF, the next generation pre-workout supplement, a human enhancement formula designed to build a superior athlete.